gun violence and illegal drug activity. Two recent arrests are an example of an ongoing problem that law enforcement says is either sending people to the hospital or the county morgue.
There's so many homicide cases that are investigated that have a drug connection, and there's so many drug connections that have a homicide connection.
The arrest of 20-year-old Ryder Hicks and 30-year-old Kevin Bush on murder and armed robbery charges comes 7 months after 24-year-old Tony Ross was found murdered at this Orange Park apartment complex. Investigators said Ross was shot in the head. According to the arrest warrant, the murder was the result of a drug deal that turned into a deadly armed robbery. Clay County investigators were not able to comment further on the case because it's an ongoing investigation. But they did tell News4JAX it's an example of a continuing problem, gun violence intertwined with drug activity. For years, both local and federal law enforcement who spoke with News4JAX have argued that illegal drug activity and gun violence go hand in hand.
And these are criminals. They rob from each other all the time. So that's what you see. These are just tools of the trade.
With violent crime and drug trafficking, you always have guns involved.
We have more violent crime in Jacksonville that we're trying to address by going after the drug trafficking organizations.
It is so intermingled between.
News4JAX crime and safety analyst Tom Hackney is a retired JSO director of investigations. He believes 70% or possibly more of the gun violence in Northeast Florida has ties to illegal drug activity. What is usually the reason why shots are fired?
You know, so many of these are set up between buyers and sellers, and at one point somebody decides, okay, well, that guy's coming with drugs, and the other one decides, well, that guy's coming with money. And sometimes between the violence and the greed, they get there, and you just don't know that the person that you're going to meet to buy or sell to hasn't devised a plan to rob you.
Hackney says there is a public misconception that murders and aggravated assaults are only connected to large-scale drug operations involving kilo quantities of illegal drugs.
Murders happen with very small amounts of drug transactions.
According to the American Prosecutors Research Institute, 1 out of every 4 people arrested on illegal drug charges admitted carrying a gun all or most of the time during his or her involvement in drug activity. Now, Hackney says gun violence associated with drug activity isn't just exclusive to the act of the drug deal itself. He says there are also occasions when gun violence is the result of drug dealers fighting over territory.